We're back with Danielle Smith, the Premier of Alberta, gracing Ontario these days for it's every summer, isn't it? That you have the Premier's meeting.
We do, but not it rotates. And so next year is going to be Prince Edward Island. So we get to go to Charlottetown next year. But we've been able to come to...
Do they have a room? We're in a hall.
We're sure going to find out.
Here, look, you're out here. All the OPP and all the other costs is something else. Anyway, have to ask you, you were in Washington, and again, the Eastern press was saying, oh, she's down there dealing with Trump. What's he like, first of all?
Well, I would say he's exactly as he presents himself. He's got very strong opinions. He'll let you know them. He doesn't like to be contradicted, doesn't like to be embarrassed, doesn't like somebody saying to him one thing in person and then something else behind their back. So you got to be pretty frank and honest with the guy. And I think he's very, we have to take him seriously. When he identifies things that are irritations, then those are probably the things that are really irritating him. And so he's pretty transparent about some of the things that irritate him about the relationship with Canada.
He has been that, but it also seems that he changes his mind very often.
He's open to being convinced by a good argument, and I've
Have you given him that?
I just asked him if he wanted to buy more oil and gas from Canada, and he said yes. And what you saw is that he also said he'd like to see a restart of something like a Keystone XL pipeline, maybe a different route. And so that's how I'm proceeding. I would love to see us get to a point where we can build more pipelines in Canada. But if that doesn't happen, then I know that the Americans would be, under this president, would be interested in finding a way to get more product down to the U.S. because it just makes sense. We can backfill into the U.S. to keep prices low for their consumers. That allows them to export internationally, which satisfies their national security goals. And it's really a perfect partnership. I think that's why we don't have tariffs on oil and gas right now, is because it is such a good relationship where we both benefit.
It is, and it's going to stay that way, I'm convinced. But, I mean, some people are saying that Trump actually, I was one of these people, is forcing Canada to do things that it hasn't done for 4 years. In other words, deal with some of the issues that earlier politicians have been afraid of, like the trade barriers.
Yeah, completely. I mean, I think what the big mistake that Justin Trudeau made when he went down is he said he wasn't going to meet the 2% NATO commitment. Wrong answer. And he also said that we'd be devastated if we had a 25% across the board tariff. And so you end up telling the U.S. president we can't defend ourselves, and our economy would collapse without you. That's what prompted him saying, well, then you're not a real country. You're a 51st state. So now we have to act like a real country, and a real country can defend itself. It meets its national commitments when it comes to spending on defense, and it trades with each other. And it trades and finds new partners internationally. And so I think everybody has been clarified around that. So maybe we owe him a debt of gratitude for getting us acting like a real country again.
I think you're probably right on that one. Now let's just talk about some of the Eastern and the liberal presses. There is some liberal press out west, I know it. And they've been critical of you. Not only are they saying about separatism, but they're saying that you just need to be more of a Canada builder, but we've been talking about you wanting to build Canada.
Yeah,
like the industries with.
And I just signed an MOU with Doug Ford, where we agreed that we would buy more cars that are finished in Canada and more steel, and that he would support us in our aspiration to build more pipelines. I mean, those are the kind of things that all of the premiers are doing across the country. We're coming up with MOUs. We're finding ways that we can propose true nation-building projects that benefit each other, and that's exactly how it should be.
Do you think a government should be telling people what kind of cars to buy? In other words, the federal government still, I understand, is saying EVs by 2035. No more industrial engines.
You know what? When Doug and I did our MOU, I pointed out that for us to be able to meet the 20% target, we would have to buy every single EV that Ontario currently produces. And we're only one province. So the provisions that are in there where 20% of cars have to be zero emissions, it can't be met without us going to China. And we have a 100% tariff on EVs from China. So we need to kind of get our head straight about what it is we're trying to achieve. If we're trying to help our friends in Ontario, let's get rid of those EV restrictions and support our friends in Ontario. The Ontario manufacturing industry, they produce hybrid vehicles, which probably makes the most sense in our climate. They produce some heavy duty and light duty trucks, which I know we sure need in Alberta. And that's the approach that we should take. That's one of the 9 policies that have to be repealed.
Perfect time to take another quick break.